One, two. This is the Rick Sickens Show. I am Rick Beer, your host, one of the loose cannons in Moses Lake. I ask tough questions and do some things that get some reactions out of people. So
I still can't believe that's you on the drums.
yeah, that's me on the drums back in like 2002, long time ago. I own the rights to this music.
Nice.
Not only am I a member, I'm the owner too. Yeah. Today's show is brought to you by Beery Construction. Do you have a bathroom that needs a remodel? Do you have a kitchen that needs a remodel? Do you need something fixed? Is your man or husband not pulling his weight around the house? Call Beery Construction. We will take care of it for you.
Lighten the load.
Lighten the load. Oh yeah, I got like second place for that best of the basin.
Oh, nice.
For contractors.
That's awesome. I didn't vote for you.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. I think I got third place, second place. I don't know. I can't remember.
Did Rick's get placed in there as well too?
Did who?
Rick's.
Oh, we placed 8 times, and this year I'm going to add tacos if they'll allow it.
Yeah, he also says he's going to bring a Baja Bowl, but I have yet to see it.
So Friday is the plan for the Baja Bowl.
All right, we'll see.
That is the plan at Rick's, the Baja Bowl. You know, rice and beans, meat. It's like half salad, half burrito. It fits in a tortilla. You eat what you want, and then you can roll it into a burrito.
It doesn't exist.
It will this Friday for a limited time. On today's show, we have Joe Kriete with us. Thanks, Joe, for joining us. Born and raised local. Born in Ephrata, right?
Yeah, Ephrata.
Now you're running Grant County with one hand tied behind your back.
Sometimes it feels like it. With my hair on fire. Don't forget about that part. 1 foot on a banana peel. I don't know, something like that.
Something like that. You got 2 kids, right? 2 daughters?
2 kids, 2 girls, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good, very good. I have a whole bunch of questions for you. Let's just jump into them and see where it goes. So, Memorial Day weekend, I did do a post or comment about, the whole reason for Memorial Day weekend is we've had 620,000 people pass on since the Civil War, and it's a big number. And I pointed out that, my father was in World War II. He became a veteran, and then he passed away a couple years ago. That is not why we celebrate Memorial Day.
That's Veterans Day.
That's like a Veterans Day thing.
Yeah.
So when I was in the Army, we lost 6 soldiers in a helicopter crash.
Ouch.
And I went to the funeral, and I don't know if you guys do a similar thing in your ceremonies, but they do what they call a roll call. And so they'll call out the different soldiers that are living a few times, and they'll be like, Sergeant Juanito, and they'll be like, present, and they'll call out a few specialists, so-and-so, John Doe, and they'll be like, present, and then they will name off the deceased, and they'll repeat their name once, Warrant Officer Brown, and there'll be silence. Warrant Officer Brown, there'll be silence. By the 3rd time, you hear his wife in the front start bawling. She's holding her kids. Wow. And then the 4th time, Warrant Officer Brown, you'll hear someone in the back say, unaccounted for. And as a soldier, I'm like, man, that could have been me. Mm-hmm. To see his wife mourning, his kids, knowing this guy's not coming home is powerful. There's power in your name. Yeah. And then they go on to the next soldier and the next soldier. And we're all crying at this point. I don't care how tough you are. These are your brothers and sisters. And anyway, it's very powerful. And anyway, but on the good note for Memorial Day weekend, tell us how it went for Grant County.
Yeah, so it was full. Everybody noticed, whether you're in Moses, Ephrata, Quincy, or the George area. It was it was a busy weekend. There's a lot of people here, and here in Grant County, we triple in population just Memorial Weekend from starting Thursday, clear into the early portion of Monday for the train. When everybody's commuting back home, right?
Yeah.
So historically, we've seen life flight coming into the dunes, going into the gorge, whatever it may be. We've had some treacherous bad weekends here all through the county Memorial Weekend, just because the population is so high.
Yeah.
But it's high in very condensed areas, right? I mean, the sand dunes.
Yeah.
It's big if you're out there with you and your buddies, but you pack 5 lots full of people and all on machines out in the dunes. It's crazy, and it can be mayhem out there. Then you get the gorge; it's its own city, right? During the concert weekends, it really is. So you're anywhere between 15 to 40,000 people, depending on what show's out there.
Wow.
And then if it's a 1-day show compared to a 3-day festival, it gets really busy. Crescent Bar is another busy area. Desert Air, Sunland Estates, the Potholes areas. It gets very busy. Up north, Cooley City. It's everywhere. Just gets packed on Memorial Weekend.
Yeah.
But this is one of the probably best Memorial Weekends that we've had as far as safety wise. It was actually a really good weekend for us, which I say that and I'm knocking on wood so we can have that again. Okay?
I asked you not to do that.
I know, but I did it anyway.
Tap the table.
My mom said I never did listen very well, Donnie. But it was a great weekend for us. It really was. It was very, very, very busy, but we expect to be busy. But as far as the safety of people, it was a really good weekend for us, and we call it a success. We really do.
So basically, you're telling me that you don't just sit on the side of the road and pull people over? That's
no.
just the sheriff does?
I'll tell you, I wish that was all we had to worry about, because typically you get to deal with amazing people that way. I worked at the traffic unit for 5 years, and it's funny because I loved it, because you just stop people that maybe drive too fast, but they're amazing people in the community. They really are. I mean, you talk to some great people. I mean, not everybody's excited about getting stopped by a cop. I get that, but from my side of the fence, it was. I enjoyed my years in traffic because, like I said, the majority of people I talked to, they just drove too fast. They're great people, though.
Yeah. So I have to do a shout out to the Moses Lake Police Department, because the few times I have been pulled over, they've given me warnings. So I'm like, thank you so much.
That doesn't deserve a shout.
Highway Patrol. Now you tell me if this is right, but we have a perception is reality. The Highway Patrol, we kind of talk amongst ourselves that they would ticket their own grandmother. True or false?
I can't speak for them, all right? But what I will tell you, when you talk about primary duties in law enforcement, okay, the city of Moses Lake and us, we're very similar. We deal with a lot of criminal law. People call in domestics, burglaries, assaults, whatever it may be. But also the things that we're responsible for as well for our agency, of course, is traffic enforcement. Yeah. That also talks about dealing with felony crashes, serious injury and fatality collisions. But I'll tell you, State Patrol, their primary function is traffic enforcement. Yeah. That's their bread and butter. That's what they do. When you go to the State Patrol Academy, they teach about the safety of stopping cars and the driving and the highway speeds that they drive. They teach you how to investigate collisions, because that's part of traffic enforcement, collision investigation. Yeah. But I'll tell you, when you go to serious injury and fatality crashes a lot, and you see the carnage that's out there a lot, and the majority of collisions that are happening out here are caused by high speeds and inattention. Okay. What a lot of people don't know too, you talk about collision investigation, is when you go get new insurance for your car, okay, you move to the area, you go get your beautiful new car, pickup, whatever it may be.
At Detour Auto Sales, of course.
Whatever. But when you go, you got to get insurance, right?
Yeah.
What is the first thing do you think insurance companies deal with when they start talking about your insurance rates?
How many times?
I have the answer.
Oh, yes.
I have the answer. It's the collision rate, the accident rate within the area you live in. If you live in an area that has a high risk of collisions, your rates aren't going to be cheaper. They're going to be more. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So to change behavior in drivers, a lot of times it comes with enforcement and education.
Yeah.
So, I mean, other than what you just talked about, your, warnings you got from the city, which good for you.
Would you pull over your grandmother?
I can't. She's not with us anymore. So I can't. And if I pull over my mom, who's 90, that's another whole problem. I'm not even going to get into.
Like, what are you doing behind the wheel?
What are you doing? Anyway,
she would be in cuffs in
my God.
30 seconds. Mom, put your hands behind your back.
I hope his mom is listening.
Me too. I hope she is too. My mom is 90 and she's unbelievable. She really is unbelievable. But you get into the portion of changing behaviors of people's driving to try to minimize those collisions from happening. And what a lot of people don't know until you see that stuff over and over and over and over again, it becomes a little tiring to see it. It really does. And so you have to take some action to try to prevent that stuff, because it's not a big deal until it's somebody you're attached to.
Often
that's when it becomes a big deal.
Often you guys are first on the scene for an accident like that, right?
Yeah. So in summary, safe driving reduces your insurance rates for the whole community.
Yeah,
100%.
That's the best argument I've heard so far.
Yeah, it's the truth. It really is. I mean,
slow down, guys. I need cheaper insurance.
I need cheaper insurance.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm a distracted driver. I truly am. The way my brain works, even in the military, I'd be hauling tanks, and my mind's like elsewhere.
Not me. I'm planning like 6 moves ahead, and I see all the cars. And
Oh man. So I'm the reason your insurance rates are high, Moses. You're welcome. I'm glad someone's making a profit off of me. How many sheriffs have you served under?
Let's see. I had Sheriff Bill Weister hired me, and then I served under Sheriff Mike Shea. Served under Sheriff Frank DeTrilio, Sheriff Tom Jones, and I am the fifth that I have worked for in 31 years.
Wow.
Yep. I am the 20th elected sheriff in Grant County.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lucky number 20.
Lucky 20.
I guess that's as experience. I don't know how else you can say it.
I mean, 32 years would be more experience.
Yeah, well, give me 6 months, all right?
Yeah.
Give me 6 months.
Oh, man. If you were in an arm wrestling competition against the Moses Lake police chief, who would win?
Is that rhetorical? I feel like you're asking me a question that you don't know the answer to.
It's a metaphor.
I guess if you want me to answer it, I will. I don't know if I need to, but even Dave knows the answer to that. That's me. I mean,
so yesterday at Rick's, I had a customer that wasn't too happy with, I guess, law enforcement, and he was criticizing their fitness. So if there was a fitness competition between Grant County Sheriffs and Moses Lake PD,
you're trying to start something, aren't you?
I know. Hopefully Dave forgets about this episode.
Which, I
still love you, Chief.
Who's
still
more fit, Grant County or Moses Lake?
Well, you said fitness. Do you mean like fitness burger in your mouth? I mean, I'm not sure you're talking about
push-ups, sit-ups, 2-mile run.
We've both our agencies. I'll tell you, it's been. We're young. I mean, of 65 commissioned deputies I have, I think 46 I have 10 years or younger.
Yeah,
and they're fit dudes. They are. There's some that believe round is a shape. And I almost start resembling that the older I get, and it becomes more difficult to stay in shape.
Yeah.
But we got some fit guys out there, man. We really do. They take a level of fitness very seriously. Very seriously.
I can say that I have my 6-pack. It's just insulated now.
They call it camouflage. It's camouflage.
Camouflage.
Yeah.
Camouflage.
Oh man.
You got to work to get to it.
Yeah. Anyway, that was one thing in the military I was good at, was fitness, and I could push. I can do all that stuff quite well. And in the military, it's probably biased, but sometimes a percentage of the view of the quality of you was determined by your fitness. It was almost like 50% of your value was determined by your fitness.
At first appearance, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
And I got to do a lot of cool things because I was fit. They'd send me to air assault school, and they would send me to all these classes. And anyway, that was it was huge. And I guess there was less focus on, can you do your specific job at the highest performance possible? That was secondary, third tier down. But I mean, fitness is important. Yeah, you gotta
It is. I mean, and even in the situation you're talking about, at least for me, is you talk about fitness. Is it really the priority for the job that you may have at hand? But whether you're in the military or in law enforcement, what's our primary job is as a public servant, being protective of the people that we're hired to protect, right? Whether you're in the military and protecting the United States of America, or you're a deputy in Grant County, you may have all the other duties alongside of that, but your responsibility is the safety and security of the people that you took an oath to protect.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to do that at the highest level, I think that fitness is a priority, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
Is I wasn't in the military. I was a college athlete, and there was a time that I was very much more in shape than I am right now.
Jacked.
But yes, jacked. Yeah. But it's when roles change, roles in your agency or your position change. Sometimes those things change has an effect on. I mean, I've tried not to let it get out of control by any means, but it's important. I think it's important, like you're just saying. It doesn't matter what your role is. I think that is important.
Since you carry a gun, can you ask him not to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions? That'd be great.
Have you had enough? I'll be tell us about, you guys do some I guess fundraiser activities, Tip-A-Cop, and tell us about those.
Yeah, we do a lot of fundraiser activities for the community. That's one of the things I just love about my job. It really is. I love that community engagement that I get to do, and I think it's contagious. There's a lot of guys and gals in our agency now that have taken on a lot of things just to give back to the community, whether it's their own trunk or treat event that we do over at Larson Housing Area. I didn't start that. Our deputies did, because they wanted to get involved in the community. That was their drive. We do a lot of fundraisers for various organizations here in the community, whether civic organizations or whatever. But another big one for me, and we're pretty passionate about, our office and myself, is our Shop with a Cop event we do every year for families in our community that are a little less fortunate than the rest of us. And
that's a Christmas thing.
That's a Christmas thing, yeah. And so we take a family, and we have, gosh, I don't even know how many agencies now involved in this. It's a lot. We brought on fire agencies who are now part of this now, and Fish and Wildlife we brought up. We brought up Warden PD this year, Mattawa PD, the agencies that just don't have the funding, but we'll reach out with our Shop with a Cop and get them involved in their community. So we've really branched out this Shop with a Cop event to cover it blankets the whole county now, which is just amazing. But anyway, what we do is we get kids and their families that are less fortunate, and we take them Christmas shopping. They get to pick out gifts for their family, and it's awesome.
Is it at the Dollar Tree then, or?
We partner with Walmart. Kudos to Walmart. I'll give them credit. They really kick in a lot for us, and they really do. They roll out the carpet and really take care of the kids.
I bet you see a lot of tears with that. Right?
Oh man, it's unbelievable.
I've been one of those parents that didn't. I went one year to Bargain Town, and they had a 25-cent bin. And I grabbed as many as I could, and I went home and I scrubbed them so that I could give my kids Christmas. It's very humbling. It really makes you appreciate what you have. And leading up to that, we do an event with the community called our Tip-A-Cop event, and all the funds for that go to the Shop with a Cop. And holy cow, you want to talk about some. So you guys are actually servers at Rock Top. You guys bring the plates out.
Yeah, we bring the plates out, take orders, and my chief deputy Gary Mansford, he's just unbelievable there. He's great. I don't know if you guys know Gary or not, but longtime Moses Lake community guy. He was a Sand Dunes deputy for years, so a ton of people that go in the dunes know him. They do, but that guy was unbelievable. He was taking orders by memory.
Oh wow!
I mean, like he'd worked there his entire career. It's just awesome. He did a great job.
So is there a limit of how many times I can send my entree back?
I don't know. It's when you tell us to put it in the bag because it's a problem. So yeah, but no, it's a great event. Our community is just so giving to make sure that all the less fortunate families really have a great Christmas. So I've got to give credit to our community. They're so giving. Any event we do, the community is all in 100%. It's just great.
One thing, Rick, I do got to say that hits really close to home that they do. It's called Chief for a Day. My son was actually Chief for a Day twice. Once with the Fish and Wildlife, and this last time with the Ephrata Fire Department.
That's next week, as a matter of fact.
Is it really?
Next week, yeah.
Thursday.
Let's hear about that.
Chief for a Day. So it's a project that we do with kids in our community. Whether it's I think our nominations typically come from schools or churches, and they're kids that are less fortunate kids or have a some type of disabling disability, or maybe an illness or things like that we bring through, and for the day they're recognized as, in my case, a sheriff for the day or a chief for the police agencies, and they come in, we get them a little uniform for them and drive them around town and a police escort through the community, and they get gifts, and I mean, they're king for a day, and it's awesome.
And it's read into the minutes as well, too, right?
Yeah, the commissioners, they do resolution for it. It is a great day. It is a great day, and kind of a great way to kick off summer for us. Yeah. It's for the kids.
Can I nominate Rick for chief for a day? I mean, he's a little special.
My first executive order. Oh boy, they'd fire me after an hour. There'd be, if I was chief, you couldn't fire me because I would be I'd be under an elected. I want to talk about that a little bit. So sheriffs are mostly elected, and therefore they have constitutional powers under the state. Some people think it's federal. The cities are incorporated. Municipalities are incorporated, and the police department is a department like the water district and this and that. Right. And so they operate slightly differently, and they're appointed. So there is I guess a difference. And so there is kind of this idea running out there, is your sheriff, I guess, a constitutionalist? Is he going to defend our rights and protect us? Mm-hmm. Can you explain some misconceptions or explain how, because it's this like hybrid of things. You got state rules and constitutional federal rules. Right. So as a person looking at it and go, man, is he going to take my Second Amendment away? Is he going to do these things to me, or is he going to protect me? Can you address some of those, I guess, things and misconceptions?
No, it's a great question. I like I said, when we were talking a little bit just before we got on the air, is that's a topic that came up quite a bit during my campaign. I enjoy the conversation about it. Sometimes people don't think I'm maybe as aggressive as I should be about it, but in the state of Washington, we have 39 counties. Of the 39 counties, 38 are elected sheriffs. There's one county, King County, who was appointed by county council. All right. So as elected officials, we are part of the government, not under the government. All right. The only person I answer to is the community. You as voters. You're the ones that elected me to do my job, and you're the ones that can recall me if you don't like how I'm doing it. So that's who I answer to. I don't answer to the commissioners. I don't answer to a governor. I don't answer to anybody else except for the people in my constituents in Grant County. Yeah. That's who I answer to. I don't know if it's a misnomer or whatever, call it what you want, but a lot of things, and by the way, not every law that's a law in Washington am I happy about. I'll put that out there on Front Street, and I'll tell anybody that doesn't bother me. But what we have to understand as a community is your sheriff and all the elected counties that are in Washington state, not only do we take an oath to defend the United States Constitution, or uphold it, but we also uphold the laws and the Constitution of the state of Washington. Yeah. The laws in the state of Washington are presumed constitutional until they're challenged and not. Yeah. So do we prioritize some of the laws? We do. Laws against people, that could cause injury to people. Those obviously take a larger priority.
Hitting bad.
Than some lower level type things like a 10-round magazine. It might not be a real high priority in our office. Okay. So that's where it comes down to is I'm a very I don't want to say I'm a constitutionalist. That's so, to me, it's kind of a very bold and aggressive statement, but I do understand that my oath is to uphold the Constitution of the United States, but also I also have an oath to uphold the laws and the Constitution of the state of Washington. So if that makes me a constitutionalist because I have to uphold both, then I guess it does. But I also understand the process. I don't get to say, oh, that law is unconstitutional because I don't make that decision. That's what the Supreme Court is for.
Yeah.
So I may not prioritize it as high because sometimes that happens, but I'm not the one that decides what's constitutional and what's not.
So save a life or check for a magazine.
Yeah. That's actually a very good analogy. Is honestly, we're going to pick saving a life first. That's just what we're going to do. That is always the priority, is saving people's lives first. We're public servants, and that's what we do. That's what we want to do, and those are going to always take the priority, 100% every time.
So the commissioners of Grant County, they're like head over the sheriff's office, right?
No, they're an elected official just like I am. They answer to the constituents of Grant County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are peers.
I think a lot of people have thought that, right?
Yeah. The only thing that the commissioners basically do for us is they have to provide me an office to perform work in and a budget. Once the budget's adopted, it's the responsibility of the sheriff to disperse and use his budget as deemed necessary.
I know you said disperse and not disperse.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, whatever.
I do that. I point out the flaws.
Thanks, Dr. Vocab over there.
Oh man,
we like to have fun.
Of course, I love it. Thank you.
Oh man. So homelessness. We have a concern in the community about homelessness. How does I think there's like some people feel it's the state's responsibility and that they're living in the city and the county. You have any like comments about homelessness?
I have a lot of comments about that, Rick. I'm going to talk about a few of them that I can talk about. So there are I have some thoughts on this that probably aren't very popular. I think that we haven't done a very good job of taking responsibility for a lot of the and I'm going to talk about the opiate problem, the drug problem. Yeah. Sometimes people will say that, they come together. And I won't disagree with that because there are a very large portion of people that are homeless or transient that do have an addiction to opioids. That is very true. Yeah. I won't say that all of them do, though. I don't believe that that's totally true. Probably the majority, but there probably are people out there in the world that are just homeless and don't have a place to live because they're down on their luck. I get that. Yeah. But I'm going to talk about the majority. All right. So to me, our overdose problem has not substantially gone down. Our ability to when I say ours, the homeless population or the drug dependency people, their ability to get opiates, fentanyl, heroin, whatever it may be, has not gone down substantially. It hasn't. But what are we doing? We're giving out free Narcan. We're giving out free needles, and I guess I feel like what we're doing is we're helping a problem.
So that's a different department though that's given those. It is. That's the health department.
It's like I don't even know if it's specifically the health department's decision. I don't know if it's a state level decision.
Yeah, I'm glad you're clarifying because it sounded like you were saying the sheriff's office.
No. This is not a sheriff. I'm just giving, I guess, my opinion. Basically,
yeah. Here's your ticket and a needle.
I feel like, I mean, I do. If we were seeing overdoses substantially reduce, if we're seeing the use of opiates substantially reduce, I would say, gosh, we must be on the right track, But I'm not sold. I'm not sold that giving out the free things is working. I'm not sold. And so I think that what we're doing is, to me, just like I said, just my opinion, I feel by giving out the free Narcan, we're giving people a false sense of security that they can use these fentanyl or opiates to a level, but they got their buddy. Hey, just hit me with the Narcan, man, if it gets bad. Because when our deputies are using Narcan out in the field, the people they're using it on are mad. Yeah. They are pissed because they're getting out of their highs going away, and they hate us for it. They're so mad that we're using Narcan. I mean, if we're saving their lives, yeah, we are. But
I don't know I just don't know what the answer is.
So
I guess what it
Narcan,
comes
is that
down
that
to.
inhaler that takes away the effects?
Yeah, it is. It's basically
It's funny,
an injectable inhaler, like a nasal.
Yeah.
I was
Afrin
I was
is what it's
injured
like. Yeah.
not too long ago, Rick. I don't know if you remember that. And I had the walking stick, and they gave me hydrocodone and this inhaler. I remember one day saying to myself, "I'm supposed to take both." And then I had a doctor's appointment that day. And he said, "No, the other one's in case you use too much."
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess what it comes down to for me, we do have an issue here, but when people are given all these tools to help them not only use the drug but use it safely, it doesn't seem like a deterrent to me. It just doesn't feel that way. So I don't think we've been very responsible as a society in general of dealing with this opiate problem, and it's a serious problem. It's huge. It's what drives probably 90% of the crimes that we have in our county.
One thing I forgot to mention in show prep too, Rick, and I think Joe can speak to it, is that the cartel is really pushes that stuff through here, and I don't think people really understand how big of an involvement they have in our area.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you think about where Grant County is, right? The center of Washington. Yeah, we've got I-90 that drives right through. We've got Highway 17 that runs down all through the county. You've got the Yakima Valley that's very close to Grant County that runs up from Highway 243 in that way. Highway 26 runs in the bottom portion of the county in there. We are a hub for a lot of distribution of all kinds of things, not just narcotics, but a lot of other things that trafficking things that come through because we're right on the freeway,
Yeah.
We have a railway. The railway comes through too. I'm sure there's stuff that comes in the rail system. I don't know. But nonetheless, Grant County is a very centralized hub of a lot of different trafficking that comes through the state.
So drug or people.
Yeah.
That's heartwarming.
Yeah, sir. Yeah.
I feel safe for
Sorry about that.
No, but it's
the challenges we face. It really is.
Yeah,
it's challenges that we face.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
We did have a gentleman that was homeless on here. And anyway, and I've seen it in town, just to bring it up again, is he lived on top of a business.
Yeah.
It was a Subway sandwich. They kick on the heater at night. He could stay warm.
Yeah.
And one of the guys would leave him a sandwich up top, anyway, there is, I tried to bring it up, but there is this underground network that's there. They know who the boss is. They're different groups and tribes. And I mean, there is an underground network. And when they come into town, after talking to a few people, they understand how the system works on the ground level.
Hierarchy,
they almost have like their own mayor.
Yeah.
Like there is they have their own mayor and judge and executioner. Like they have their own system in place. And us as regular people living in our nice homes, we have no idea what goes on behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to for you to share that perspective with us and go, okay.
I'm curious to know if maybe you asked this of the gentleman you had in here, is how would he feel if there weren't services in the specific area he was in, whether it's Moses Lake, Spokane, Seattle, whatever, is if those types of services and those things they have access to, if it wasn't as easy, would it motivate them to be different?
My understanding is they have to hit rock bottom and be willing to walk away from their tribe and group. And anyway, in this guy's case, he ended up going to jail, doing his time. And when he got out, he went to a home and, first he had to get clean.
Yeah.
And then he was able to go on, and now he's a business owner in town. And,
that's an awesome story. I mean, it really is. That's not very common.
Yeah.
And I know a few of those that have done that as well. And those are the people that I really applaud. I didn't mean to cut you off, Rick. Sorry,
no, go ahead.
But those are the people that I really applaud because it's such a difficult trench to get out of. It really is. It's, I think, I know I've been affected by it in my family personally. I have.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a lot of people left in the community anymore that haven't been somehow impacted and understand that. I think you hit it right on the head. Once they get to that rock bottom, and rock bottom's a different spot for different people, right? And so once they hit that and they get that moment of clarity that says enough's enough,
yeah,
for them to completely climb out of that hole to me really speaks for that person's ability and the drive that they have mentally to get out of that. And that's just incredible to me.
I think we've talked about this before too, Rick. I was the other side of that coin where I had an alcoholic stepdad and I was done and I left my house. I lived on the street trying to get my own place. I gave a plasma twice a week, and one day I found a job as an assistant apartment manager. Got a free apartment with power and a telephone, because back then they had telephones, and I got $300 a month, and I just had to be there in the evenings. And that was my way out. But I remember sitting on the streets and people spitting. This is in Portland, spitting in my face. Yeah, and just get a job.
That's sad, man.
Yeah, yeah. We all have different unique experiences, and those experiences give us perspective and shape our lives and views. And I think together, that variety of experience allows us to address some of these problems, because it's not like the problem's been in the making a long time, and it's not you can just snap your fingers and make it go away. It's not like you can provide them housing and the problem goes away. It's not, and they've given out housing, and and granted, this was in the Philippines. They built a whole little housing complex for them. They all went there, and then they left it in like a month or two. Yeah. The issue was it was too far away from their hustle. So they abandoned it. So just giving them a house isn't enough. Just giving them
a whole feed them a fish sort of thing.
I guess. It's like they got to be in a place where they want it, or they want to get out, and then you can help them. And then how do you give them the grace they need while they need that 5 years to fumble around till they get there? And and another option people like is squeeze them and they'll go somewhere else. Let's deal with the ones that have family here versus provide so much opportunity. It's like, hey, let's go to Moses Lake, and then we have a bigger problem. So there's a balance of squeezing them so much, giving the time they need for them to make that decision. Okay, I'm ready to get help, and I know I'm going to have some ups and downs getting out. I don't have an answer. I wish I did. I have some ideas, but there's no easy cure-all. And I think that's, you got politics and they don't have an easy cure-all. They're like, hey, we got this, and we can squeeze them a little harder and reduce the people wanting to come here. And so we can deal with our foundational homeless people. But there's a few hundred of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is. For the county wise, we have, for instance, just a couple of weeks ago, we attended a I'm gonna call it a graduation type thing, but I don't know if you guys have heard of the community court that they have in district court here in Grant County. It's actually it's a drug court version on the district court level, not superior court. So they finally had their first graduate go through the program. I think it was 2 weeks ago they had the graduation, and that's a win. That's a win for me, for somebody that was in that drug world committing crimes to our community. And then when they get out of that, whether it's a structured thing that's developed by the court system, whether it's something they can get structured in a counseling type program, whatever it may be. But once they graduate and they turn into that success and they can share their story with somebody else, that gives an opportunity for somebody else to be successful. So kudos to the community court down that's going on right now. It's all, it really is. It's really cool seeing people graduating.
I like progress
and being successful. Right now, somebody's going to be another contributing member to our society here. Yeah. To me, that's exciting. That's a win. Yeah. We're not going to save everybody. We're not, but
take a win when we get.
Yeah, 100%. I'll take those wins when we can get them. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I think of a lot of the, I guess, homeless and people with problems are, and this is me bringing the military card again, military veterans. And I know when it comes to getting help, some of our mentality is like, I don't want any help from the man. Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. I'm not hurting anybody. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but there is that mentality too. Anyway, it's a tough situation. You also deal with the Gorge, like you mentioned before. It's its own city. And do you guys have any boats? Like, do you work with the water?
Yeah, we do. We have, Grant County has the most freshwater shoreline in the state. We have the most freshwater body of water here. So we have a marine unit. We have a couple boats. Have some wave runners that we do patrols in, and emphasize the waterways. Out here working with them, and a lot of the things we try to do a lot of preventative stuff before people get on the water. Boat inspections. We try to do those on boat ramps, or set up any other times that we can do that to make sure people have their boats ready going into the water, so they don't get nabbed when we're out there.
So you're talking like a extinguisher.
Yeah, extinguisher, flotation devices.
Make sure the motor's connected.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right, yeah, all that
Battery's
stuff.
good.
Making sure people have their boaters licenses they need. Who are the operators? Are they of age? The education piece. It's a lot of stuff we try to do to prevent bad things from happening.
Yeah,
but we can't prevent it all.
So I'm biased, right? I grew up boating in Newport Beach, California.
As a sailor.
I taught sailing lessons, cruised the Channel Islands. I was a Sea Scout. And so I see a lot of people that don't know right away. I'll be like, I'm a sailboat. I have right away unless I'm overtaking you, which is rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Rare. Or if you're towing a skier, then I know you have right away, and
right.
I'll move around. But like, people don't know some of the details. They know enough to be like, let's avoid each other. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they do, is play a wide, spread out game of Frogger. But
right.
But I just know as a sailor, I'm like, they don't know anything about me other than because they'll be lined up at the dock waiting to dock, and I'm coming in sailing, and I'm like, I kind of have right away, and they're probably mad at me, pissed at me, because they're like, this dude just like, whoop. But I'm like, I can't just stall and bob there unless there's no wind, then I have no choice. But anyway, if you see a sailboat out there, it could be me.
And wave with all your fingers. Is that your one?
Yeah.
No, just the middle one.
Just the middle one. Yeah. And usually people come up and they're kind of like, wow, a sailboat, but anyway, just I know, a few things about, water and all that stuff. And so,
yeah, we're getting into the busy year right now with water, right? I mean, we finally had a decent, I think it was Monday, was pretty nice. Over here locally, Moses Lake.
69, yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice day. We had a lot of low numbers boat-wise for boat users through the whole county this weekend. Just the weather kind of dictates that Memorial weekend. But I noticed the same stuff you do. I have a boat, and I noticed a lot of that stuff. The thing I get worried about is distances people want to follow, with wave runners following boats, people pulling tubers that aren't paying attention to their surroundings when they're doing it. Those probably worry me the most. It really does, as a user. And you're probably seeing the same things I am out there as well. It's, a lot of what people don't know is 500 feet off the shoreline or off of a boat. And people are well inside of that all the time, and it can be very dangerous. And a lot of that injuries and accidents we have on the water is because of inattention. Alcohol is probably the top, but inattention is right up behind it, and not allowing the distance between vessels.
Yeah. So and you could probably clear this up. Right, boating under the influence. Mm-hmm. So the crew can drink. Is that my understanding correct? Mm-hmm. But the operator needs to be sober. Yeah,
and to tell you the truth, I would have to reread the boating law as far as the common word for driving is DUI, right? Driving under the influence. But then there's also boating under the influence. It's extremely similar, very, very, very similar. I would have to read it to give any specific.
I'm sure having the anchor dropped and stuff plays a part in that as well too, in those rules, right?
What's that?
If they're sitting there anchor dropped sort of thing.
Again, I'd have to read. I just don't know the answer to that. Would having to read.
Let's just commit him to an answer.
Yeah,
right. I know.
So disappointed.
Sorry about that.
Let's talk.
I'm that guy that if I don't know the answer, I am cool telling you I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot I don't know.
Not me. I know it all.
Highway 17. How dangerous is that road there?
It's of course, now if I say it's not, I'm in big trouble, because it will be. You know what I mean? For years we had the corridor project years ago when I was in the traffic unit. I was
part of that progress or that project with the Traffic Safety Commission. And this was back in 2005 when we did it. And we were having a ton of collisions on Highway 17 from down around the Othello area around Highway 26 all the way up to through the lakes up towards Coulee City where Highway 2 is there. So we had a ton of collisions there. And a lot of it is because of impatient drivers. You know, they're passing when they shouldn't pass.
Say what?
I know, weird, right? I know. But I don't think it's probably as bad as it used to be. We still have our problems with erratic driving out there, and it's not just on Highway 17, but specifically Highway 17. As the population grows, the increased flow of traffic happens, and which of course increases the risk of driving on that roadway. And Highway 17 is no different. It's you have an increased risk of driving. They're doing some widening on it right now, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll be glad when it's done. That's for sure. But I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to really help things a lot. I really do. I think it's going to make things more efficient and traffic flow a lot better. I think it's great.
Speaking of Highway 17, who's better, Batman or Superman?
I think there's only one guy. That's the Batman.
Yes.
Right?
Good answer.
One guy.
That's my sheriff right there, guys.
That's right.
Man. There's a big movement, I think, in our society right now, and we're kind of on a witch hunt, and we don't like corruption. How do you handle, I guess, situations where you're like, hey, that doesn't look right? You know, how do you pass it up the chain of command? What are you doing to help reduce the, I guess, corruption in the community?
Yeah, corruption is a pretty firm word. I kind of look at it as it's kind of integrity.
Yeah,
Rick. I mean, when we hire people and we talk about integrity, it's one of our core values. Integrity is, and by that, the simple word for me is, what are you doing and nobody's watching? I really keep it that simple because, like I tell my employees when I hire the new ones, I tell them, I say, I want you to do your job as if the sheriff, your sergeant, your chief deputy, your lieutenant, whoever it is standing next to you. But when you're out there at 3 a.m, when none of us are there next to you, you shouldn't be doing it different. It should be doing the right thing for the right reasons,
Yeah.
And to me, that's what integrity really kind of comes down to is, what are you doing when nobody's watching? And keeping it, I don't know, I guess keeping it just that simple to me has been pretty easy. And we've had staffing issues that we've had to deal with. We have, and it comes down to those core values of one of them being integrity. And we address it. We don't turn a blind eye to it. Police accountability is out there. There's RCWs that cover backgrounds and what we have to do as far as law enforcement agencies to hire the people we hire. So the law mandates us to do certain things. And even though I'm short in the corrections side of things and the patrol side, I'm not willing to change what our standards are just to get a body filled. I'm just not willing to do that. We hire amazing people, and I'm just not willing to trade that for anything else. I'll be short for my entire rest of my term, and hopefully I'll be fortunate enough to do another term. I'm fine with being short because I'm not willing to change my standards for hire to just get a body filled. I'm not willing to do that because to me, the community deserves more. I don't use the word deserve a lot because I think people earn a lot of things that they get, good or bad. But in this situation, I think our community deserve that for us to have the highest standard of people getting hired. So I will tell you, all the deputies that you see out here that we've hired, it's not easy. It is not easy to get hired in law enforcement now.
Yeah.
It was different back when I started in '93. It was a whole different process, but it's not easy now.
Yeah,
it isn't. And we hire good people for good reasons.
I think that is kind of across the board. A lot of institutions or businesses or whatever aren't putting up with our culture shifted. They're not putting up with, in the military too. If you're a soldier and you get a DUI, they're like, your career is like over. They're like, yeah, bye. It's like, oh, but he's a good soldier that used to keep you in. he was great down overseas. He's the best. But today, yeah, they're not putting up with people slipping up.
Yeah.
In those regards. I do realize there's areas that are tough. So like when we were cruising in gun trucks and they have rules of engagement, and it's tough because you're like, the sand is blowing in your face. There's all this stuff going on and bullets are flying. And you're like, I have to make a decision and I have to have positive ID on that guy. And if I squeeze the trigger and that guy turns out to be a lady walking a kid and that wasn't, whatever, like I'm accountable for that. It's tough. Amongst my brotherhood in the truck, we all kind of agreed amongst ourselves because we're trying to protect ourselves too. We're like, if you squeeze that trigger because you see something and bullets are flying, we'll back you up.
Yeah.
And I know that kind of happens in the brotherhood of things, because, we're concerned, because you're a human.
Lives are dependent on you.
You made a mistake.
Yeah.
And, when things are crazy and exciting, sometimes, human error happens and mistakes happen. And when I see these, like, I try to take a step back when I see like a bad incident happens. A cop shoots, a colored kid, and one side takes a side, and the other side takes the police side, and there's this division. I try to take a step back and go, okay, I can see this side, I can see that side, but can I just see that it is a terrible situation?
Put yourself in that position. Yeah,
it's a terrible situation for both sides, and I'm not going to take a side because it's just a tragic situation. But you see it in the news. You see how things get pushed and pulled, and people are taking sides. Hey, sometimes things are just tragic, and when you're in that position of accountability, maybe. Hopefully, you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, completely.
You got to make tough decisions, and sometimes you have to make them so quick that you're like, but when your life's at risk, sometimes you don't have 10 seconds to process it. Sometimes you don't have a minute to process it when things are coming at you.
I've heard a lot of stories like that.
But that's when you rely on that training you've had, right?
Yeah, but training is still training. Amongst like veteran soldiers, and until a kid, you can train all you want, but until the kid's been overseas, we kind of have a stigma to them, like, you don't get it. Like, you haven't had hands-on experience, you haven't been bombed, you haven't had a gun in your face.
Experience goes a long way.
I think it trumps training. Like another side story. So growing up sailing, I was we're in the Channel Islands, Santa Cruz Island, and we got caught in a storm. And we've all been sailing. We've all been trained. I was probably the newest guy on the ship, so I was the least amount trained. So I was kind of like, I'm like 14 years old. Anyway, the winds are blowing like 80, 90 miles an hour. We pull anchor. We're blowing out to sea sideways on a sailboat. And the bosun mate, he was 18 at the time. He calls all hands on deck. The oldest guy on the boat's 21. So we're a bunch of young people. But, there was one individual that did not come up on deck. He decided to stay in a sleeping bag and be comfortable when it was like hell outside. I helped pull up the anchor. The anchor was like skipping on top of the water. I mean, the wind was howling. It was horrible. It's like 2 a.m, pitch black outside. Anyway, now the guy had training. The guy had everything he needed, but some people just don't have what it takes. The guy was funny and cool, whatever, but when the crap hit the fan, he didn't step up. Several years later, I was the 18-year-old kid, and I had to call all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And I had one of my guys not get up. And to this day, I still have resentment towards them because, like, when lives are on the line, anyway, you can have all the training in the world, and that's great. You need training, reflexive memory, all that stuff's great. But there's still a difference with, I guess, reality and the real stress of things happening.
Well, also bodies though too, like you mentioned. And before I ask this question, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Again, like, subscribe, and share. We need followers because we want people to see. I know there's a lot of people tune in and watch this. We have plenty of viewers, but we want people to see and share this as it comes out on a regular basis. But we talked about bodies, and you had mentioned you won't go beyond your integrity and your core values to get people. My question is, you got a new jail coming in, and you said you already have a shortage on bodies. Mm-hmm. What are your guys' plans in making sure that you'll be able to facilitate all the needs of that jail?
Sure. That's a great question, actually. And the biggest portion of that is coming into design of the facility. So it's a modern design facility, and within the modernization of corrections and in jails, prisons alike, everything, these architects are designing these facilities to be operated on lower manpower than was typically done years ago. So just the mere design of the facility allows us to operate it with a ratio of lower correction staff compared to what, say, 15 years ago, what the studies would have shown. So nonetheless, we still have to hire people. That doesn't really take that away. We still got hiring to do. What we've done is we partnered with public safety, who does a lot of law enforcement hiring in our state, and we've hosted testing days. In fact, we have one coming up this weekend on Saturday. That public safety is going to be in Ephrata. Typically, when we get local testing done, we get a lot of candidates to choose from, which is great. The hard part is when you get candidates to choose from, you've got to go through an interview process. They've got to go through testing to get established on a register or the hiring list. Some can pass the test, some can't. All right. So you get into that. So if you want to take the civil service test, study up on, you can go online and Google civil service tests. They're out there. There's a million of them. And make sure you're fairly physically fit to do a mile and a half, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some squat thrusts. I mean,
fitness,
do some little bit of fitness, right? I mean, it's not a ton that you have to do. And Rick, I know you know this, your mind will let you do things that your body will try to stop, but your mind should be able to overpower that.
Mental toughness.
And when it comes down to a point of you bringing a paycheck home or not, to me, that's a big drive. Okay. I want to be able to pay my bills and provide for my family. So I'm going to do about anything I need to do to get a good job or maintain it. And that's kind of the drive you have to have going into these civil service tests. I've seen a lot of people that are in way better shape than I am. They'll get halfway through a mile and a half and say, this isn't for me. Or they'll start walking. It's like,
or like 10 minutes of your life.
Oh my gosh. Yes. 10 minutes of your life. Come on, push through, and it comes in that mind over matter thing, but no, I kind of got off track there, but
I would never do that.
Yeah, right. Recruitment has been very big for us. So we've got a small recruitment team that we have within the office that we've used some social media, advertising and marketing. We've had some, like I said, big success in our local testing. It's not the fact that we're not getting numbers. The numbers that we're getting are not able to pass the tests that come in front of them. Once they make the test and they get on the register, then they have an interview with me, and then they follow up with a polygraph, psychological, and a background. We lose a lot of people in the polygraph test. A lot of people.
Just tell the truth.
Just tell the truth. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. It really does. Do not make the investigators dig everything out of you.
I didn't inhale. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, if they ask the marijuana question, just tell the truth.
Just be honest.
If you're clean now, that's what I think counts.
Well, not only that, that's actually a really good point. It really is, because we have standards for different types of narcotics that are out there. Okay, if somebody is on the line of the polygraph, let's say they said, "Hey, I used cocaine 3 years ago, but we have a 5-year policy for a disqualifier. You can't use it for 5 years." Okay. We can say if they're disqualified for their polygraph, we can decide and allow them to test in 2 years to where they make that window. But if you lie about it and we find out, we're not going to let you retest again. So honestly, honesty goes a long way. Even if you may not make it this time, but you were honest until you get past that window, that we can get past it. We can work past it because your honesty and your integrity shows.
Yeah.
So that you hit it right on the head. That you really did, because that carries so much weight. It's just that honesty and the integrity.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, let's wrap up this show. Anyone who wants to go to jail, how do we get a hold of you, Joe?
911.
You have some.
Wait, that's my number.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being on the show. Hopefully, you learned a little something about what we do in Grant County, and you answered some of my questions, because sometimes I use humor and things to bring things to light. But it was really cool to have you on the show and share with us about the jail. And we didn't get into your golfing career.
Oh God, thank God. I just keep getting worse. I don't know how many times I wanted to just leave my clubs on the course, for God's sake.
Oh, man. Oh. Well, this is the Rick Sikin Show. I'm Rick Beer, your host, signing out. Bye, Felicia.
Every time.
God, one more thing.
Oh, it's funny.